Welcome to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast, sponsored by the Draft Professors. I'm Jim. I am joined today with Christian, who is a Philadelphia Eagles mock draft fanatic. Christian, welcome to Draft Professor. I believe this is your first podcast with us. How are you doing tonight?
Fantastic. First time. Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Christian and I were talking offline. I invited him to come on to do some Philadelphia Eagles mocks on the Draft Professor Simulator. But Christian, before we go into the simulator, where are you looking for the Eagles to go in the draft? Like, are there certain positions or types of players that you think that you're looking for?
Yeah, great question. I look to the offensive line. That's something that Howie Roseman has always prioritized, is maintain depth and making sure they have plenty of options and versatility in case something were to happen. You know, you win. We've seen enough teams over the years, they win through the trenches. You don't see a lot of teams win Super Bowls with bad offensive lines. And a big part of what plagued the Eagles offense this season to me is just a revolving door, especially on the interior of their O-line. Landon Dickerson, I did not believe he was healthy all season. He tore his meniscus early in training camp, and it was reported that initially that they were fearing he was going to be out for the season, but they ended up just having to do the trim, which would knock him out for a few weeks, and it didn't really appear that he was fully healthy throughout the season. Cam Jurgens, another one, kind of up and down season. Tyler Steen, right guard, it was in his first full year as a starter. Had good moments, but also inconsistent. So I think bringing in some competition on the offensive line is going to be important to be able to get this offense back to where they were in 2024 when they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so we're going to pull up the Draft Professor Simulator. Everything we're doing today is a single-player draft. And the first thing we're going to do is this thing called the First Round Fanatic Challenge. And we're going to go with the Eagles. So a First Round Fanatic Challenge is 5 unique one-round drafts. So the simulator is going to go through and it's going to do its first round. I will read all the players out loud, starting at the top. So the draft went Mendoza, Bain, Maui Noah, Reese, Fano Tyson, Tate, Styles, Downs, Woods, Lemon, Bailey, Delane, Ione, Falk, Sadiq, Lomu, Love, Parker, McCoy, Simpson, Pregno. And the Eagles are on the clock at pick 23. So what do you think the Eagles would do if the draft went this way?
So I'm going to do a little cherry picking here. So I typed up a new mock draft I'm going to put out tomorrow. And a little spoiler alert, I actually have the Eagles taking Caden Proctor. And the reason I have that is when they signed Mekhi Becton last season, it was kind of, he signed him on a 1-year deal. It was a low risk, mid to high reward type of signing, and it turned out to be a home run for him. Becton ended up getting Becton his contract with the Chargers, and it was an unconventional move for him because he was previously a tackle. He moved inside the guard position he never played before. But Jeff Stoutland, their Eagles offensive line coach, may go down as the greatest offensive line coach in the history of football. And Becton and Proctor, I think, stylistically are very similar in that they are both just absolute maulers. And when I watch Proctor, I just don't know if he has the quickness and stamina to be able to survive at tackle full-time in the NFL. But I have no doubt a move inside, he'd be able to do what he does best, and that is just obliterate defensive linemen.
Okay. So I picked Proctor for you in the first mock. And what the simulator immediately does is it takes you into the second mock, but it sniped Proctor 4 picks before the Eagles. So a player has dropped. I don't remember who the Panthers took in the first mock, but there's a really good chance that that player has dropped. That might be TJ Parker, because I think Parker was gone last time. He's available now. He's just a little bit further down the list. So if Proctor's not there, what do the Eagles do?
Couple different routes. I missed the previous picks. Is Kenyon Sadiq is I would assume is gone at this point. Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So that's a great question. So when you do a first round challenge, most of the picks are going to be the same. The ones that are different, the simulator will always take a different player at 1-1. Then the rest of the picks will be BPA until you get to 4 picks before yours. And then these are the players that would be considered in your range. Now we might see, we might see Jeremiah Love drop. Like, I doubt the Chargers would pick. He would not be BPA for the Chargers, in my opinion. And we might see a couple of other players drop. But if you're keeping your eye on Sadiq, I'll make sure that we look at that each iteration through to let you know if he dropped. So Sadiq's off the board. Proctor's off the board. What else do you want to look at?
I look at cornerbacks. Adoree Jackson's been especially with the second half of the season, Adoree Jackson played some really good football, but he's only on a 1-year deal. And they tried a few different combination training camp. They were hoping Keely Ringo would step in as the number 2 following the departure of Darius Slay and Isaiah Rodgers. That didn't exactly pan out. They traded for Jacorian Bennett. That didn't really work. They like to keep Cooper DeJean in the slot. So I look at Avion Terrell here. He's my number 2. He's my number 2 corner in the draft. I think he's a really good player. And he's got the bloodlines. His brother AJ's a Pro Bowl level corner for the Falcons. I think Avion's going to be right there with him in a few years.
Okay. So Sadiq didn't drop. He was taken by the Bucs. So in this one, Lomu dropped. The simulator sniped Proctor and Terrell so that they were off the board. And that is ultimately how Lomu ended up dropping. And TJ Parker is also there.
Yep. So I got a couple to get different players here. I'll start with the elephant in the room. What's going to happen with A.J. Brown this offseason? Do they trade him? Do they keep him? What happens? So let's say hypothetically they do trade him. And Jahan Dotson, free agent. So you're looking at Devontae Smith and who knows what else at wide receiver. So I would look at Kevin Concepcion here from Texas A&M as someone who can really add a layer of creativity and versatility to this Eagles offense if A.J. Brown were to get traded.
Okay, so you want KC Concepcion here?
Yep, I would go Concepcion here in this scenario.
Okay, so Proctor, Terrell, Concepcion have been the first 3 picks. And in the 4th mock, Proctor, Terrell, and Concepcion get sniped before your picks. Delp is still the highest tight end, so Sadiq went to Tampa Bay again. So Lomu is there. Parker is there. Denzel Boston fell. I don't know that he was there before. Jeremiah Love also fell on this one.
Yeah, for the sake of divvying things up and changing plans, I'm going to go Caleb Banks here because Jordan Davis is going to be on the 5th-year option next year. And the question is going to be this offseason, do they extend him or do they let him play it out? I think the way he's played this year, they have to extend him. I think Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis is the future of the middle of the Eagles defense. But they've also got to think about paying Quinyon Mitchell here in a couple of years. They're going to want to get Cooper DeJean locked up. Do they pay Reed Blankenship this offseason? They got some tough decisions to make on defense. Nakobe Dean's one this offseason. The way he's played this year, I know they paid Zach Bond and drafted Jihad Campbell within the last calendar year. With the way Nakobe Dean looked post-injury, I'm not sure the Eagles can let him go. I think he played too well this season. So, Jordan Davis maybe a difficult decision that they have to make, and Caleb Banks is the talent jumps off the tape with Caleb Banks, and he's someone that they get in the building, develop him for a year or two, but before taking on the full-time star role once Davis departs, hypothetically next offseason.
Okay, so simulator immediately starts the 5th and final mock of the first round challenge. Proctor, Terrell, Concepcion, and Banks are all sniped before the Eagles pick. Jermod McCoy dropped. Viga Ione is there. Keldrick Falk is there. Jeremiah Love. What are your thoughts on this board and what you would do if you can't take Proctor, Terrell, Concepcion, or Banks?
I go Ione here. He's a plug and play guard. He's going to start. He would start day one for them. So at one of the guard spots, Ione's sneaky. The player that I really want the Eagles to draft this year. I really like his game. He'll be a top 15 player for me.
Okay, so that completes the first round challenge. Excuse me. Caden Proctor, Avion Terrell, Casey Concepcion, Caleb Banks, Viga Ione. Thoughts on, you like all 5 of those options for Philadelphia?
Yeah, Concepcion may be a little earlier for me, but and Banks as well. But the Eagles they're not afraid to draft players and sit and develop them for a year or two. So I'm happy with that group there.
Okay, so now and Christian and I talked prior to the podcast. I know that he hasn't used the Draft Professor Simulator, but that gives you an idea when I said, I've got buttons, right? When I designed it, I gave us buttons. So after I designed my simulator, the first button I did after I got just the basic mock draft part to work was Fanatic Mode. So Fanatic Mode is a way to do unique mock drafts. So what I did is I turned on Fanatic Mode, and it defaults to 2, and I turned it up to 8. So the 8 means Christian is about to do 8 Eagles mock drafts. And we're going to do 4-round mocks. The Eagles will have 6 picks in the first 4 rounds. They will have 2 round 3, 2 round 4, in addition to the round 1 and 2. So we're going to do 4-round Eagles mocks. We're going to do 8 of them. We have the Eagles picked, and the first one that we do should be really similar to the first round challenge. The Draft Professor Simulator is interactive, and that means that the players that are there are because fans of those teams think that's who they're going to take. So I'll go through what the first round was again, just to review kind of who's off the board. It's Mendoza, Bain, Maui Noah, Reese, Fano, Tyson, Tate, Styles, Downs, Woods, Lemon, Bailey, Delane, Ione, Falk, Sadiq, Lomu, Love, Parker, McCoy, Simpson, Pregno. So Proctor's who you took last time. Is that who you take this time as well?
Go right back to Proctor. Yep, go right back to the well and go with Proctor.
Okay. So now it's going to take us into the round 2 pick for the Eagles. So what are you thinking in round 2 here after you take Proctor in round 1?
I would look at tight ends here because they're going to have some Dallas Goedert. I had a career year last year. Unsure what his future is. They restructured his contract last offseason to make him a free agent after 2025. I look at someone like Max Clare, someone I'm a lot higher on than the general consensus is. I think he's a top 75, potential top 75 pick. I think he's someone who could easily plug and play as a starting tight end day one.
Okay. So you go Proctor round 1, Claire round 2. You are in round 3. What are you thinking?
Yep, top of round 3. This is where I would go corner here, and Will Lee's player. I'm a big Davis Igbinosun fan. I think he has got phenomenal tools and showed a lot of growth from a discipline standpoint with the PIs. I go Igbinosun here. I think he's gonna be a really good player.
Okay, so you go Igbinosun. So you have Proctor, Claire, Igbinosun at the end of round 3. What are you looking for?
Oh, I like Genesis Smith out there as a safety. Who are the available wide receivers?
Daniels, Thompson, Fields, Lance Benson, Eric Rivers is still there. Chase Roberts, but this feels early for Roberts. This is round 3.
Yeah, I actually got Chase Roberts in my top 100. I see a lot of Cooper Kupp actually with Chase Roberts.
Okay, you like Roberts at pick 98?
I mean, Chase Roberts here. Let's go. Okay. Let's take a little flyer on him.
So, and when I said a little bit early, I had to remember it was the end of round 3. So we, like most draft professors, have him as a day 3 player, but we're effectively, that's not that big of a reach for him at the end of round 3.
Yep.
Okay, so what are you looking at in round 4?
Oh, at this point, this is where the Eagles like to go with depth here. They really, Howie Roseman loves to stockpile his day 3 picks and really provide depth. And one thing he has really kind of hammered away is they like to have as many quarterbacks in the room as possible. And Tanner McKee's going to be a free agent after 2026, and quarterbacks. Jim, sorry about that.
Okay, I misunderstood what you said. Okay.
So I would, Sawyer Robertson's is not a bad name or for early day 3. So that's someone who could maybe sit behind Jalen Hurts and just sit and develop in the offense. I look at Sawyer Robertson here as just a depth piece and just get another quarterback in the room.
Okay, and then one more pick in round 4.
Yeah, I would look at Genesis Smith here. He's probably going to he'll probably be off the board at this point. I would guess he's a really good player. I think he's going to have a phenomenal Senior Bowl week. And
yes, so there's some people within the draft professor community that say Genesis Smith is round 3.
Yeah, I think
I don't know that a safety falling to the back of round 4. I don't know that that's much of a fall for a safety.
I think he's gonna have a terrific Senior Bowl week.
Okay, so it immediately starts the second mock, right? So we're in fanatic mode. We're going to be doing 8 consecutive mocks. We've done mock number 1. Caden Proctor is off the board before the Eagles pick, and Sadiq is also gone. What would you do here?
I would look at corner. They will need a starter there day 1 next season, assuming Adoree Jackson's they don't bring him back. So I'd go right back to Avion Terrell. Top 15 player overall for me. I think I really like his style of play. And Vic Fangio is going to get the absolute most out of him.
Okay, so you do Avion Terrell in round 1. And then in round 2, Max Clare got sniped 7 picks before you selected. And Delp is off the board, and I believe Trigg is off the board as well. What would you do?
So I look at the interior offensive line group, see who's all available. Because I think this guard class has some really good names. And maybe a little early for Rutledge in the second round.
Dunker is still
there. That's maybe a little early, but yeah, I do like Dunker a lot.
Cage Casey is available.
Yeah, that would be Cage Casey would be a Philadelphia Eagles type of pick.
Okay, and you like him at pick 54.
I would take him there. Yeah, I would absolutely take Cage Casey here.
Okay, so you go Avion Terrell, Cage Casey in rounds 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking in round 3?
Round 3, I would look at defensive line. I would make sure you have plenty of depth there. Daryl Jackson, Florida State, borderline top 50 player for me. Phenomenal traits, incredible length. He's gonna be a disruptor, and I don't know how many sacks he's gonna get every season, but he's gonna be a disruptor, and that's something the Eagles, they just got like cycling guys in and out, and keep the bodies fresh. Daryl Jackson would be a great addition.
Okay, so Terrell Casey Jackson has been your round 1, 2, and your first round 3 pick. You have a second, third round pick. Antonio Williams dropped. I don't think he was here before.
Yeah, that'd be Antonio. That'd be a good value pick for them. Let's go look at the tight end group because there are some interesting names kind of in this area. Daquan Wright is one of them. He really stood out in the Ole Miss's loss to Miami in the playoff. He gets open. He's nimble mover. I'll go with Daquan Wright here. And so he may not start right away, but sign a veteran on a 1-year deal and let Wright kind of help for a year before being exactly what they did with Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert sat behind Zach Ertz for a couple of years.
Okay, so Avion Terrell, Cage Casey, Daryl Jackson Jr., Daquan Wright. So now you have 2 round 4 picks. You haven't addressed wide receiver, and you haven't looked at quarterback. Yep. And right before your pick in round 4, Sawyer Robertson was sniped from you, who was one of your round 4 picks last time.
Yeah, so let's look at the receiver group here because that would be because there is, of course, the chance that the Eagles do work things out with A.J. Brown. He sticks around for another year. So Bryce Lance, to me, I've got a top 100 grade on him. I think he's a really good player, someone that could get in the room, at least be the number 3, and maybe develop into something more down the road.
Okay,
North Dakota State players, North Dakota State players, they're good pros.
Okay, so Avion Terrell, Cage Casey, Daryl Jackson Jr., Daquan Wright, Bryce Lance. What would you do with the final 4th round pick? Your prior pick, Genesis Smith, got sniped from you 7 picks before you selected.
I would look at the edge rusher group here. And Jalen Phillips, he was a home run addition this season, but he's a free agent. And it's a go either way, whether he's back this season or not. And looking at
Barham was sitting at the top of the board. I'm looking to see, is there any specific names you're looking for edge, or you want me to go through the list slower?
I like Caden Curry a lot. I think he's someone who has he's a versatile skill set, length. He's gonna get dinged for arm length, but that's a player. Seems like every time I watch the Ohio State defensive line, he's doing something. Whether it's chasing down backside plays or disrupting the quarterback, he's making an impact on the game. And those types of players, they don't need to have impressive traits to make some sort of impact in the NFL. May not be Pro Bowl, All Pro level player, but I think Caden Curry's gonna have a successful NFL career to some degree.
Okay, so the simulator starts the 3rd mock. In the 3rd mock, Proctor and Terrell, who were your first round picks, the first 2 mocks that you did, have been sniped from you. McCoy is there. He wasn't there before. Concepcion and Banks were other players you identified that you would like.
Yeah, McCoy, obviously, medical feedback will be critical for him. But, the upside is all pro level. I would take Jermon McCoy here and bank on him on the medical stuff working out for them. And, him, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, the next several years in that secondary, I'm not sure who's getting open against that trio.
Okay, so you go McCoy in round 1. In round 2, Max Clare and Cage Casey got sniped before your picks. The best tight end on the board is probably Joe Royer or Jack Endries. What are you thinking here in round 2 for Philadelphia?
Probably a little early for both. Let's go to the offensive line group. Monroe Freeland, tackle is an interesting one. Caleb Tiernan's could be. I think he could start at 4 of the 5 offensive line spots. He's someone I think it wouldn't shock me if they were someone were to take a flyer on, maybe move him inside to guard. Let's go Tiernan here.
I like the way you think. Okay, so you go McCoy and Tiernan in rounds 1 and 2. So right now, again, Joe Royer is the top tight end on the board in round 3. And then for wide receivers, Zachariah Branch, Skylar Bell, and Antonio Williams are there in round 3. In addition to Jacoby Lane is also there.
Yeah, top of round 3. This is a Jacoby Lane spot here, and part of me wants to go Zachariah Branch. I know the analytics they do not align well with a successful NFL career for Branch. That kid's a weapon. He's just an absolute weapon, and if he's utilized correctly at the NFL level, he's going to be a home run threat whenever he touches the ball, and he really already is. But that's someone who can break a game completely wide open.
Okay, so Jermod McCoy, Caleb Tiernan, Jacoby Lane in rounds 1, 2, and the first round 3 spot. So you have a second round 3 pick at pick 98. What do you think you would do?
I'd go to defensive line here, either D-line or edge rusher, one of the two. Xavier Harris, yeah, I think there's some off-field concerns with Harris, but he's just he consumes space, and Vic Fangio loves depth on the interior, specifically at nose tackle. I would go Xavier Harris here, especially if Jordan Davis doesn't get extended.
Okay. So you get Jermod McCoy, Caleb Tiernan, Jacoby Lane, Xavier Harris are your day 1 and 2 picks. You have 2 round 4 picks. You haven't addressed tight end yet.
And yeah, I see my guy Joe Royer, someone I like. I think he can catch, he can block, and the Eagle. If you're going to be able to, if you want to thrive at tight end for Philadelphia, you gotta block. You gotta be able to block because the run game is their identity, and I think Joe Royer would be able to provide them that as a number 2.
Okay. So McCoy, Tiernan, Lane, Harris, Royer. You have one more 4th round pick. Barham is there. I'm looking to see several slot corners. Katrin Allen has dropped around 4. Klubnik is there. And by the way, so the simulator has made sure that Genesis Smith and Caden Curry, who were your picks the first 2 times, were sniped before your pick. Thoughts on what you would do here, Christian?
Let's look at the quarterback group. Because Kyle McCord was drafted in the 6th round in the past draft, but he didn't make the team, so he'll be out there as a free agent. Someone like Klubnik is someone that maybe they look at bringing in with a day 3 pick.
Okay, love it. So that mock was McCoy, Tiernan, Lane, Harris, Royer, Klubnik. Okay, so the simulator starts the 4th of the 8 mocks that we're doing as part of Fanatic mode. Proctor, Terrell, and McCoy are sniped before your pick. Who would be your next best player? I know that you like Concepcion and Banks in earlier exercises.
And let's see who the other defensive linemen are available, because there are a couple others I really like. Caden McDonald is the one I was thinking of. I like Caden McDonald a lot. No, again, nose tackle, a good contingency plan in the event Jordan Davis would not get re-signed. But even if they do bring him back, added depth, more bodies, more disruptors, more run stuffers, just continue to replenish the depth in the trenches, which is something the Eagles live and die by.
Okay. So if you go Caden McDonald round 1, what are you thinking in round 2?
I would look at a cornerback here.
Okay. And the simulator makes sure that Max Clare, Cage Casey, and Caleb Tiernan were sniped before your pick in round 2.
Yeah, I would give the best corner on my board here is Brandon Siss. Something else Fangio really likes, especially out of his defensive backs, are athletes, players who test well. Brandon Siss is going to fly. He's going to absolutely light up the combine, and that is the type of profile that fits with Vic Fangio's defense.
Okay. So Caden McDonald, Brandon Cisse in rounds 1 and 2. What do you look at in round 3? And while you're thinking about that, the simulator makes sure that Igbinosun, Jackson, and Lane were sniped before your round 3 pick.
Yeah, let's look at the edge rusher group here.
Akis is there, Barham is there, Lawrence is there, Josephs is there, Mesidor is there.
Yeah. The thing is with 3, 4 outside linebackers that play for Vic Fangio, you gotta be able to drop in coverage. And the name that I just saw there, Derek Moore out of Michigan. I think he's got some versatility to him. Michigan defensive ends, they have to have some versatility to them. I think Derek Moore is going to be a top 75 pick.
Did I miss him? Okay, there he is. Okay, so McDonald, Cisse, Derek Moore. And what do you think you're going to do towards the end of round 3? The simulator will conveniently snipe all your previous third-round picks. So Chase Roberts, Daquan Wright, Xavier Harris sniped before your round 3 pick here.
I'd go Antonio Williams in the spot here. Late day 2 guy. Health is going to be a bit of a concern, but yeah, I think he projects as a slot receiver at the next level, which is something that filled with AJ Devontae on the perimeter. That's something they'll need with Jahan Dotson hitting free agency this offseason.
Okay. So McDonald, Cisse, Moore, Williams as your day 1 and 2 picks. You have not addressed offensive line yet, and you have 2 day 3 picks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's look at that group. Let's go to the interior offensive line group here. And a lot of people are fans of Keelan Rutledge, as am I. I like Rutledge a lot, especially early day 3. I would get Rutledge here as a guy Stalin can develop.
Okay, and then you have one more round 4 pick, and the simulator makes sure that Genesis Smith, Caden Curry, Cade Klubnik, who were your prior players taken at this pick, were sniped before your pick.
Yeah, so I would look at the tight end group here. Because even if they do sign someone in free agency, they could still use an upgrade. I think Jack Endries would be a really good value pick here.
Okay, so that was the 4th mock. We're halfway done.
This is flying.
Yeah. So hopefully you've caught the spirit of the exercise, and one of your guys.
And there's my guy. Yeah, Sadiq, he'll finish top 10 player for me. I think he's an absolute beast. And yeah, he just provides a whole new. He's a matchup nightmare. He's too fast for linebackers. He's too big for safeties. You throw the ball out there and let him go get it. An absolute monster. And if Dallas Goedert's not coming back, best case scenario is Kenyon Sadiq.
Okay. So you take Sadiq in round 1. In round 2, the simulator makes sure that Max Clare, Cage Casey, Caleb Tiernan, and Brandon Cisse were sniped before your pick. Thoughts on what you would do next?
I look at the O line here. Either tackle or guard, one of them. And
what guards do you like in round 2?
I like Chase Batton from Texas A&M. The A&M's got or several. I really think their entire O line are NFL prospects. And there's
DeSantis went to the Raiders at pick 36.
Yeah, Trey Zune I think could be a late day 2 guy, someone who could, college left tackle will slide into guard the next level. But in the second round, too early for him. I still think this is a little too early for Jennings Dunker, even though I'm a big fan of his game. So let's go to cornerbacks.
Let me just also look at the offensive tackle. So Austin Barber's there, Keegan Trust, Blake Miller. We're probably the best offensive lineman there.
Yeah,
and Monroe Freeland.
What I saw, and actually what I saw from Cameron Williams, who the Eagles drafted in the 6th round last year, who played at Texas, was his entry. His decision to declare for the 2025 draft was a little surprising, but I saw someone who the traits are exceptional. I saw someone who really developed throughout the season from training camp to lead up to his start in Week 18. I thought he played really well. So I think they've got something in Cameron as a potential Lane Johnson replacement. So I actually don't think I think the tackle spot, I think they're fine on, between Mylott on the left, Lane on the right, and Cameron Williams continuing to grow and develop. So if they were to, of the offensive line spots, I think look at guard, center, guard as the area that's more pressing.
Okay.
I do think Will Lee would be a really good play here for them, as, again, length, good speed, not great speed, but he's length, ball skills. He can disrupt the catch point and be a really good number. They want to get a star with this pick if they go corner in round 2. They got to get a good starter, and Will Lee's going to be a really good starter.
Okay, so round 1, Kenyon Sadiq. Round 2, Will Lee the third. You're in round 3 now. What are you thinking as far as the positions that you would want to target?
Well, I mean, I can't help it with that, not take a Georgia defender here. Let's go with Kristen Miller and keep adding to the Philly Dogs.
Got it. So yeah, and actually Miller at the top of round 3. Some people definitely have him going in the top 64.
He's a top 50 player for me.
Yep. So Kenyon Sadiq, Will Lee the third, Kristen Miller. This is your second round 3 pick. And the simulator is, again, it's getting really good at sniping you. So Roberts, Wright, Harris, Williams have all been sniped before your Eagles are on the clock.
Yeah, let's look at the O-line group again here, because I do want to address I do think getting an O-lineman in the first 2 days is going to be a priority. This could be a Trey Zune spot. Back end of the 3rd round, this could easily be a Trey Zune pick.
I love it. So Trey Zune at the back of round 3. You're now going into round 4. You have 2 picks. You've taken Sadiq, Lee, Kristen Miller, Trey Zune. You haven't addressed wide receiver yet. Is it wide receiver, or are you going to look somewhere else?
I'm going to look at the safety group, because Drew Makuba looks like a promising player in the 2nd round, and Reed Blankenship, upcoming free agent, and the depth beyond them, they're hurting a little bit on. And looking at the names here, who's back on that first page? Yeah, I look at someone like Bud Clark, ball hawk, really good athlete. I think Bud Clark's an early day 3 player for me.
Okay. And then your second round 4 pick, the simulator will make sure that Genesis Smith, Caden Curry, Cade Klubnik, Jack Andrews are all sniped before your last round 4 pick. What would you do?
This is where I go the wide receiver route.
Okay, so CJ Daniels is there. Brennan Thompson is there at the end of round 4. Joshua Cameron. Any other receivers that you're looking for? Deion Burks is there.
Yeah, Deion Burks is someone who I had him as in my top 100 to start the season. Eventually dropped out, but I thought he played really well down the stretch here, and he just a shifty playmaker. After the catch is a weapon. Someone who could be a really good gadget guy, and for a Philadelphia team that's got 2-star receivers, maybe Deion Burks just gets 15 plays a game, and you hand him the ball off on end arounds, or just get the ball in his hands at the line of scrimmage in space and let him go to work.
Okay. So, Christian, now we're getting into the part of the fanatic mode where you're probably going to be getting to do some mocks that you don't always get to do. And that's because Proctor's off the board, Terrell's off the board, McCoy's off the board, McDonald and Sadiq are off the board. Eagles are on the clock at pick 23. Lomu and Concepcion are there. Caleb Banks is there. And if we look a little bit further down, you can see like TJ Parker, Denzel Boston, Jeremiah Love have all dropped to pick 23. What are your thoughts here?
I would go Concepcion here. And just go with just entertain the possibility that the Eagles may be trading away A.J. Brown at some point this offseason.
Okay, so you take Concepcion in round 1. You've taken a lot of corners in round 2. The simulator will make sure that Claire's off the board, Casey's off the board, Tiernan's off the board. Cisse and Lee were 2 second-round corners that you liked. They're both off the board. Any other round 2 corners here that you like for Philadelphia?
At this spot, no. I love D'Angelo Pons, but he's a slot guy, and I just don't think they want to move Cooper DeJean out of the slot.
Okay. So this is the first time that Oscar Delp dropped to pick 54 for you.
Yeah, this is actually a little early than compared to what I have Delp on my board. Let's look at the defensive lineman group again. Let's just see who's all in that.
So this is a round 2 defensive line board. Lee Hunter is there at pick 54. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually have Dominic Orange. I'm a big Dominic Orange guy. I think he's just an incredibly smart player and just knows how to get himself free and make plays in the run. I would go Dominic Orange here. Okay.
So I like this one's definitely going to be a little different. So we got Concepcion and Orange in rounds 1 and 2. And then from what you've said before, you're probably going to be looking at corner at some point. Do you look at corner here or do you wait?
I would wait. I would look. It's could be an Oscar Delp play here.
Okay, so you like Delp more in round 3 than you do in round 2.
And I actually like him more in the mid to late round 3, maybe even into early day 3 or round 4.
Got it.
But if the board plays out this way, and the corners aren't there, and the edge rushers go, Delp would fill a need for him.
Okay. And so Concepcion, Orange, Delp, and then you have a second, third round pick, and other players that got sniped right before you will include Roberts, Wright, Harris, Williams off the board, Zune off the board.
Let's look at the cornerback group now. And
so this is a late day 2 cornerback pick. This is pick 98 in the draft.
Yeah. Devin Moore is really intriguing here. Really like his skill set. I'm going to go with Devin Moore here.
Okay. Love it. Okay, so this mock is Concepcion Orange, Delp, Moore. You have 2 round 4 picks. What are you thinking with those picks?
I'm going to the offensive line.
So Bo Stevens is there, Jaden Roberts, Josh Braun.
Yeah, I would. Jaden Roberts would be a good play here. I do think Roberts projects as a solid, at least depth piece early on, potential to evolve into a really good player with how gifted he is athletically.
Okay, so Concepcion, Orange, Delp, Moore, Roberts. You have your final round 4 pick. Thoughts on what you would do?
I would go get edge rushers. And keep on building through the trenches. When in doubt, the Eagles go in the trenches.
See any edges here that you like?
Mikhail Kamara. I think he's just true scrapper mentality, like kind of like the scrapper in basketball. That's Kamara. He just chases down the ball and just hates to be blocked. Okay. Wins with effort.
So now we are in the 7th of the 8 mocks that we're doing. Proctor, Terrell, McCoy, McDonald, Sadiq, Concepcion are all off the board before the Eagles pick at 23. I'm looking to see if I can figure out who dropped. Ty Simpson is available. He wasn't there before. What would you do in this situation?
I would look at Denzel Boston here.
Okay.
And he can be and he's utilized in a variety of different alignments, whether it's outside the slot. He can win in a variety of different patterns. And again, there's AJ Brown's kind of the elephant in the room, his future in Philly, and Boston's it would provide them a really good player if things were to shape out that way.
Okay, so in round 2, Claire, Casey, Tiernan, Cisse, Lee, Orange, all off the board before the Eagles pick. You've done a lot of corners, but last time you said you don't like Tacario Davis round 2, and you said Pons you like as the slot, but not in round 2 either. Any other corners that you would consider?
Probably not this spot considering what they need. I love Maxi Iheanacho so much. It's hard for me to pass on him here. Even though it's not a need, it's more competition, and that's you just can't turn that down. Just draft good players, and if it works, it works.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you right now, Christian, you're the fanatic I'm looking for because you're beginning to understand the exercise because Ian Acor was not there the first 6 times that we did it. But when he dropped, you're like, if he drops that far, you would take him. Mm-hmm. And that's the idea. So in this one, Omar Cooper Jr. has fallen to round 3. He was not there before. So in this one, Delp, Miller, Moore, Lane, Jackson, Igbinosun were all sniped before your pick at 68. So Omar Cooper Jr. is there. Any other player or position that you want to go take a look at?
I saw R. Mason Thomas available, and he's one top 50 player, really just a really good pass rusher. And situationally, right out of the gate, Thomas would be could be a third down specialist for them.
Yeah, and in a Fangio defense, that's a great pick. Okay, so and the other thing to point out to anybody that's going to try fanatic mode, always look to see if a player dropped because Christian, I didn't know that you were looking for R. Mason Thomas. I also don't know what your board is. So like in the podcast, we're talking through this pretty fast, but if you take your time, you can usually find players that drop. All of the player boards that you see here are because Eagles fans have taken, for example, LT Overton to the Eagles. That's how he got so high up on their board, right? So every single one of these players has been drafted by an Eagles fan when they've done a mock, and that's why they're here. So you may not agree with the other fans, so this board may mean zero to you, is my point. So always look for the players that you like. So you're at pick 98. You have taken Boston, Ian Acor, R. Mason Thomas. What would you do with the round 3 pick here?
Let's see if I've been gifted any corners that fit what we need. Trayden Stukes is a player who is very intriguing. I'll be curious to see how he looks this upcoming week or these upcoming weeks.
But Stukes here at 98.
I do like Stukes here. I think he's someone who could, late day 2. Yeah, he's got the upside who's worth taking the flyer on.
Okay. And now you have 2 round 4 picks. Is there a position that you're thinking that you would want to target?
I would look at the tight end group here.
So this is a day 3 tight end board. I wonder if, granted, Kanik is probably, he's not the blocker that you're looking for necessarily. Eli
Storrs is my number 2 tight end in this draft. I think he's very much reminds me a lot of Evan Ingram with with how versatile he is. I think getting Stowers here would be incredible value.
Okay, so that's Boston, Ian Acor, R. Mason Thomas, Trayden Stukes, Eli Stowers. You have one more round 4 pick. Thoughts on where you would go?
I would look at the O-line again in the interior group.
Bo Stevens. And just for the record, Kamara, Burks, Andres, Klubnik, Curry, Smith, all sniped before this pick.
Yeah, I would look at DJ Campbell here out of Texas.
So, Matthew, thank you for the comment. Do you know Matthew by any chance?
I do not.
Okay.
But I totally agree.
Matthew,
yeah,
thank you for stopping by.
Safety is a sneaky big need for them if Blankenship doesn't come back.
So there is an Eagles fan that follows Draft Professor, and if the Eagles mock drafter doesn't take a safety, I'm assuming it's a her. She lets me know about it in the comments every time. So I am sure I'm going to hear about it a little bit later. I assume that she's watching the podcast. I mean this with respect. Everybody's allowed to have their own opinion. So we are doing the final mock draft here, right? So this is the 8th and final one. And Proctor's off the board. Terrell, McCoy, McDonald, Sadiq, Concepcion, Boston. All sniped before your pick here. You expressed interest in Caleb Banks before. TJ Parker is there. I'm curious, do you have any other wide receivers graded high enough to take at 23?
I would look at Jeremy Bernard here. I'm a Jeremy Bernard guy. He's a top 30 player for me.
Okay.
Just a really good football player. He's the type of player who's, he's not really great at one particular thing, but just an overall good football player.
So you are not the only one that is picking Bernard there. So this is why I love doing these with so many different people. So you are one of 2 people who would be willing to take Bernard in the 20s that have done this. But it's really cool to see, okay, a couple of people are beginning to grade the player there. Let's see if the rest of the draft world catches up to us. So I love that pick there. In round 2, Ian Acor, Orange, Lee, Cisse, Tiernan, Casey, Claire, all off the board before pick 54. Julian Neal dropped. He was not there before, but I know not everybody is top 50 on Julian Neal.
Yeah, let's go to the D-line group, because there's one more name. He grows on me every time I watch him. That's Lee Hunter. And nose tackles are an interesting evaluation because they're not going to carry 3-down value. But we've seen T'Vondre Sweat in Tennessee on first and second down just create mass disruption. And that's what a nose tackle has to do. Early downs against the run, consume space and make the stop. Lee Hunter is a space eater. If a lane opens, he will close it. Whether it's through swim moves or just flat out forcing his way into the lane. And he grows on me. He slowly but surely, he's growing on me every time I watch him.
Okay, so you do Bernard and Hunter in rounds 1 and 2. I haven't heard you talk about round 3 safeties. So I'm just curious, do you like Wheatley or Husky to Philadelphia in round 3, or is your grade on Wheatley and Husky?
I do. This would be a Wheatley play here. Yeah, Wheatley's I would go take it in the early 3rd.
Okay.
And AJ Halsey from LSU is another one who I really like.
Okay, so Halsey on this simulator is going early because there's a couple people that like him in round 2.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not willing to take Husky in round 2, he's typically not going to fall.
Yep.
Kind of thing. Okay, so Bernard, Hunter, Wheatley, you haven't addressed offensive line or corner yet. And the players that were taken immediately before your pick, you will begin to notice a trend, would include Chase Roberts, Daquan Wright, Xavier Harris, Antonio Williams, Trey Zune, Devin Moore, Traydon Stukes, all sniped before your pick 98. Thoughts on what you would do?
I would look at edge rushers.
Romello Height dropped to pick 98, as did Malachi Lawrence, as did Danny Dennis Sutton, as did Mesidor, as did Llewellyn.
Yeah, those are a lot of names I like in the late day 2 to early day 3 range. I would look at Romello Height here.
And he would be awesome in a Fangio defense.
Yes.
Like, there's going to be some teams where he's not even on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but I definitely like Romello Height in a Fangio defense. So that's Bernard, Hunter, Wheatley, Height are your day 1 and 2 picks. You haven't addressed corner or tight end yet.
I would look at the O-line group here.
Okay.
Bo Stevens, this is a great spot for Bo Stevens.
Love it. Okay, and then Bernard, Hunter, Wheatley, Height, Stevens. You have one more round 4 pick, and the simulator makes sure that Genesis Smith, Caden Curry, Cade Klubnik, Jack Andrews, Deion Burks, Mikel Kamara, and DJ Campbell were sniped before your pick.
This is a tight end play here. And this is another player who I think could have an unbelievable Senior Bowl week. No, I don't see him there. Oh, no.
Yeah. Who are you looking for?
I was looking for Justin Jolly, North Carolina State.
He's on the second page.
There he is. Yeah, I think he could be someone who surges up draft boards after the Senior Bowl.
Okay, so you end up getting your graphic here, right? And it'll go through, and I'm not necessarily going to read all what we just covered, 48 players. I'm not going to read all 48 again. Okay, so you've gone through the exercise. Like, any thoughts?
That was a lot of fun. This
Okay.
it throws a number of different scenarios at you. It's something that, as a general manager, you got to prepare for. There's no guarantee that player you want is going to be around, and you got to plan the alternatives.
Okay, so let's go take a look at the consequence of what Christian just did. So I am going to do a 7-round mock, and I'm trying to think of a team that doesn't have a lot of draft picks. Okay, so I'm going to go Green Bay. So we're going to do a Green Bay mock, but I want to pay attention to who the Eagles take when I do the Packers mock. Because what we should see are some of the people that Christian took in his mock go to the Eagles. Okay, so in round 1, Eagles took Proctor. That pick looks familiar, right? You picked Proctor twice. Once in the first round challenge, once in fanatic mode, right? And it was Monroe Freeling, right? But you took Proctor twice. He ended up moving higher than Freeling on the board. And then in round 2, the Eagles are picking 2 after the Packers. So what are the Packers going to do? They're going to go Julian Neal. Okay, and then in round 2, the Eagles took Will Lee. That was one of the guys you took, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then in round 3, Eagles took Genesis Smith. That was one of the players you took, right?
Yep.
Okay, and let's see. So if they do this, they need to go interior offensive line. I'm going to go Matt Golden. Okay, so the Eagles at the end of round 3 took Daquan Wright.
4 for
That was
4.
a player you, right? And then in round 4, both Eagles. Okay, so both Eagles picks are after this. What else would they do? Okay, so in round 4, the Eagles took Trey Zoon, and the Eagles took Nwewu. That was not somebody you took, but he was pretty high on their board. Okay, and then in round 5, Eagles took Royer. Was that a player? You ended up taking Royer, right?
Yep.
So, right. So the position exclusivity only goes rounds 1 through 4. After round 4, the simulator takes BPA regardless of position. Rounds 1 through 4, it won't duplicate. Okay, so what else would they do here? Scribbling. Okay. So the Eagles have any round 6 picks? They took Chase Roberts here. That was one that you took.
Yeah, I believe they are done after that pick.
Okay.
I believe there's 6 rounders is one of the picks they trade for Tank Bigsby this year.
There was another one. Caden Curry just went to the Eagles in round 6.
You got the 6th rounder then.
And then so I have a couple of Packers draft professors. I'm trying to do them justice. Like, I don't want to screw up. Like, would that be a player that they would take or not?
A true man of the people.
This is real. I'm looking at the running back board and what is it, round 6? And I'm like, I don't like that running back board. And then Okay. So if I look at round 7, I'm just looking real quickly to see if the Eagles had a pick. You told me no, but I was just going to scroll through real quick and see round 6. There was Curry right there. So that was somebody else that you took. So even though you took Curry in round 4, he was high enough in the Eagles board that he was BPA when they picked in round 6. So this is what I mean by the players that you pick. If other people aren't picking Caden Curry high, he still may drop to the Eagles in round 6, for example. So you took him higher, but right now, that's where he's going to go unless somebody else decides to pick him higher.
And Jane Roberts is another one right there going to Carolina.
Yep. So that's the idea of how I've designed the simulator. So the basic vision that I have is that 32 different fan bases are doing exercises like this. Like you just talked through. The Fanatic mode probably took you 40 minutes because I think the first round challenge took 15. We talked a little bit and then I summarized. So you went through 8 mocks in 40 minutes. But now everybody's kind of mocking against that board because keep in mind, it also combined like the player, you took Proctor first, but the player that went in round 2 to the Eagles, I don't know that Will Lee, you didn't take him till the 3rd or the 4th time. So it's mix and matching the players. It's not, that wasn't all one mock. Those were just players that you said look like they're Eagles kind of thing.
Yep.
So any additional thoughts?
It's so realistic. You know, any decision you make, there's repercussions, there's alternatives, and you got to plan for those. And Fanatic mode gives you that ability to kind of play general manager. If that's something that's the dream job. Is to be a general manager and construct a roster, and that comes with territory.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you like it. And like Christian, you and I were talking backstage before we went live. Like if you like doing mock drafts, Fanatic mode is a way to truly make you think because you're going to have to start thinking like, okay, well, if you've only got 3 round 2 wide receivers that you like, and in every mock that you ever do, you always take a round 2 wide receiver. Fanatic mode is you won't be able to think like that with Fanatic mode unless you're going to reach on a player. So you have to know my team needs wide receiver. I've got 3 guys I like round 1. I've got 2 guys I like round 2. Can I plot enough mocks where I can take the players that I like?
You have to determine the differentiation in value in players from between the 2nd round, the 3rd round, and 3rd to the 4th, and so on.
Yep. And my other piece of advice, if anybody out there watching this podcast, and there are a few of you watching right now, my advice is always take the player where you value them. You may like the player, but if you don't value them at that round, because where you pick them determines how high they move up the board. If you pick somebody in round 2, they're going to move further up than if you pick them in round 3. So just use that as a way to kind of gauge. But like here would be a great example. We did one of these the other day, and I don't remember the team, but Jacob Rodriguez for some people is a day 3 player, and for some people he's a round 2 player. So you might see him go round 2 to the Bengals, or you might see him go round 4 to a bunch of other teams because that's where they value him and that's where they picked him. And it's just a matter of how high is Rodriguez on the Bengals round 2 board. He's not the best player, but he was one of the 8 players that the Bengals person that did this liked in round 2. So those types of things. But Kristen, you want to take a moment, introduce yourself to everybody watching, let them know how to follow you on social media, and talk about any of the other content that you make?
Yeah. So hi, I'm Christian Zwick. I live in Indiana, and I've been working on my draft boards and stuff for 5-6 years now. And the last couple of years, I've been getting a lot more proactive and putting my stuff out there on social media and interacting with others. I've only been a part of the Draft Professor site for a few months now, but I've had an absolute blast doing it. My Twitter, my extra Twitter account, wherever you want to call it, is at Zwick_Christian. Instagram is at Christian Zwick_. And feel free to follow along and follow my work, and appreciate all the support.
So, Christian, loved having you on. What I want to let everybody know is that if you go to the Draft Professor Twitter, which is at NFL Draft Fanatic, no, I am Fanatic, we do 32 team mocks every Friday. So we'll have 32 people drafting for 32 teams. We're going to do a 3-round mock. It's every Friday. This Friday, the podcast will have Price Carter from Arrowhead Addict and EJ Holt, who is a draft professor, ironically an Eagles fan. And Price and EJ will discuss every single pick that comes in for the first 100 picks. And you'll get to see how other people value the same players you like. There's definitely a lot. Well, there's always a lot of players, but you can begin to see, like, okay, where does Jacob Rodriguez go? Right? Are people taking him in round 2, round 3, round 4? Those types of things. Taurine York. Some people have a top 50 grade on. Last draft, he wasn't even – the last time we did it, he wasn't even taken. Right? So he fell out of the top 100. So you'll be able to kind of get an idea as to where everybody has the players graded. And we do these, like I said, every Friday. So if you're interested, go to the Draft Professor Twitter right here and just drop a comment in if you want to draft for your team. Kind of thing. And then I'm the man or the person behind that account. So if you have any questions on the simulator, you are more than welcome to either tag me in a tweet or send me a private message as well. And I can tell you about the other buttons on the simulator. But for Christian, myself, and the 110 people at the Draft Professor, thank you so much for tuning in, and enjoy your Monday night. And we'll see you on a podcast again tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.